Hey everybody, Dr. Sanderson here. Welcome to Unit 5, which is our next to last unit in the course. So the finish line is definitely in sight. And in this unit, we're going to be talking about the role of social media in public relations and crisis communication, particularly as it's initiated by the organization. So in other words, throughout most of the course, we've talked a lot about how the things athletes post create PR issues for sports organizations and sports teams, and they absolutely do. But at the same time, there's things that team employees, coaches, and those who are running the social media accounts also do that create public relations issues for sports organizations. So some of you, this happened back in March, but there was an assistant coach for Texas A&M football who a kid decommitted from Texas A&M, and so the coach was essentially subtweeting this kid, basically saying he doesn't need players who aren't committed and who don't want to work hard and so on and so forth. That tweet actually led to two other players who had committed to Texas A&M decommitting from Texas A&M, and Texas A&M found themselves in a position where they had to make a big statement about what the guy put on, so what the coach put on social media, and they were taking care of it. Um, you'll see in the readings and in some of the other content in Unit 5, other things that sports teams have done. The Houston Rockets fired their social media person. Not this year, but the previous year for using like inappropriate emojis during their playoff series with the Dallas Mavericks. There's just lots of ways that teams can create public relations issues as well as actually make them worse. And so um, in the readings, you're going to look at several cases, but in the discussion forum, I want you to look at one of three cases presented in the readings and give some thoughts on that particular case and what you think went wrong and what sports teams can learn from it. And just real quickly, those are an incident involving the Baltimore Ravens. Most of you are probably still familiar with Ray Rice and the domestic violence issues that occurred with him. And so when the Ravens were first addressing this, they actually live tweeted one of Ray Rice's press conferences, and that ended up giving them a lot of negative PR because they didn't really filter what they put out. In other words, Ray Rice said something and they put that out in most cases verbatim. And so a lot of people felt that the Ravens were actually condoning domestic violence, which of course they weren't, but they got a lot of negative publicity over that. A second one involves the NFL Network. And this is something that has happened to a lot of organizations, but they do a thing where they'll use a hashtag ask this person. So in this case, it was Jerry Jones, who is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, and he had come under a lot of scrutiny for bringing in Greg Hardy, who had been released from the Carolina Panthers after a domestic violence incident. And this isn't part of what we're doing, but if you were to go and look at the public records of the Greg Hardy case, it's pretty bad what he's alleged to have done. And so the NFL Network thought, well, hey, let's put Jerry Jones on Twitter and let fans ask him questions. And as you might imagine, people just kind of started making fun of the Greg Hardy signing and really taking a lot of shots at Jerry Jones, and it didn't end up going very well. The third case is related to that, and probably is one of in my mind, the biggest example of why the Ask Person campaigns are not so good on social media, and that was when Jameis Winston was at Florida State. They did a thing, Ask Jameis, and as some of you know about Jameis Winston, he was accused also of rape. He also got caught shoplifting crab legs at a grocery store, and you can imagine what kind of questions people were asking him. And so Florida State pulled the plug after just got out of control very quickly. So in some of the articles, you'll read some of the tweets that people sent. They're actually quite funny, some of them, but it definitely shows that organizations have to be very, very careful in the type of campaigns they run on social media. And just lastly, one reason for that is what we call the active audience, which With social media now, people can put stuff out there all the time. So you may have seen cases where, something's ended up on Facebook and people start going after the person. You may remember the guy who shot the lion in Africa, and people started bombarding the guy's Facebook page and his business, and really made his life unlivable. And so that active audience, the ability to shift the narratives and kind of take things in a different direction, is an issue that sports organizations have to be very careful of and be mindful of as they use social media to engage their audience. And keep in mind that it's not just fans. I mean, anyone can take their content and do things with it, so they have to be very careful with that. So if you're thinking about working in public relations, definitely social media is an area that will be a big part of that. And so some of the lessons um, that are learned from these cases, I think, will hopefully help you. In terms of the discussion forum, your initial post is due by Saturday, July 30th. Your 2 response posts are due by Tuesday, August 2nd. You also have a written assignment in this unit where you're going to actually be looking at your own case study of something that happened with a sports organization on social media. You're going to go through what kind of happened, what were the details of the case, what are the implications, what can we learn from that, and that's 1 or 2 pages typed. You'll need to submit that by Tuesday, August 9th. And there's links in the Unit 5 Information and Resources folder that show you where to submit that, but definitely let me know if you have questions on that. So again, great job. We're the finish line's in sight, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.